we are building a Songlio clone. And we are building it because Songlio is broken most of the time, and it's our favorite game. We'd rather end up tomorrow with a non-working app and having pushed AI as far as we think it can go than to have created something very safe feeling. So this uses front end, back end, an API integration with like a music service, WebSockets for the real-time events moving around.
Rudy had mentioned Code Guide as a way of putting together a lot of like project documents. You give it all this information. What do you want to build? What's your tech stack? Like, what are the things you want to use? And it generates this questionnaire. And so after you fill this out, it generates like this initial like project outline. It breaks down like core features and then the flow, and it's going to create each of these documents that you just saw in the previous screen. But it gives you like the flow chart of like, this would be the experience for a user and like searching a song, getting live results. There is this option here where you can copy the prompt. And it will set up, like give you the prompt in such a way that's supposed to work for that particular tool that you've chosen. And that is something we did. And we started first with V0.
So V0, not the most attractive one. Don't get scared here. Ugly. But we were impressed. Like it started giving us a lot of functionality that was starting to work. We started getting excited, then started seeing a lot of errors, and it got into a state where it was just never-ending error, and we kind of gave up on V0.
So then we thought maybe it would be a good idea to eject from this, try some other tools after a bunch of versions were coming out and we were kind of consistently hitting roadblocks. I had a decently optimistic attitude about Claude. What we did with Claude was I took the same documents that Liz and Laura generated with Code Guide. I fed those into Claude, and this is going into the code base that we set up. Ultimately, the output, I think, was a bit better than V0, but we were getting stuck on some places where it was having trouble understanding the logic that it needed for the game. And then it was starting to create redundant logic and components to try to solve those problems. We couldn't use Claude forever because Claude was the most expensive option that we had, I think. So we kind of cut this off and making some good progress with some other tools.
We were able to see one round, but then we just kept on seeing a lot of errors, whether it was like keeping up with the scores or everyone seeing the right round.
The last ditch effort was to try to create like a permanent state, like save the songs and everything into the database and have everything more permanently in the database instead of socket events, just synchronizing everything across all of the different browsers, try to centralize that in the back end. And it didn't work.
What we tried to take an approach was kind of like a one-shot prompts to build an app with everything we want in it, and then slowly start to like try to fix and iterate and add things it didn't add that we wanted on it, or bugs that are happening, which probably is not the right or best process to take for this. The better approach, if we had the time, would be to use Code Guide, put the documents into your project, use something like Cursor that references those documents, and you sort of work on more of like a ticket or feature-based approach. I think another clear takeaway is that 4 of us is like way too many to work on something like this at a time, but it's kind of hard with 4 of us to be in something like V0 or Lovable. We started to talk a bit about having design involved and maybe a couple of developers to architect or set it up, but then really it feels like one developer could then shepherd the thing through and work on it.